that's the wax plug. The bottom one, believe it or not, was the left ear. That came out in a huge plug. And the right side, you can see that cancelled. So the patient then used some drops, and it's probably softened it enough just to create an opening where some of their symptoms were alleviated, and they kind of just decided to continue their managing with their symptoms. However, a few days ago, they experienced extreme pain in this ear, and as you can see, the earwax is really occluding. It's impacted not only against the eardrum, and once you remove this wax plug, you'll see the eardrum is a lot of erythema, so a lot of redness of the eardrum, but it's also compressed right up against the canal walls, and it's quite a dense plug here at the bottom, which really strongly adhered to the floor of the ear canal, trying to lift it up and away. You know it's been there for a while, so the colour is oxidised, it's quite dark in appearance. So freshly secreted earwax is more of a pale, it's orange and light brown, and then as it matures and ages, if you like, in the ear, it oxidises and it gets darker. So at the moment, I'm untoo sure of where this patient's ear canal is. So I just wanted to clear some of the wax off the ear, just to reveal some of the ear canal, so it gives me a better perspective. And this piece just break away. So guys, this is the WAXscope. I know a lot of you prefer the endoscopic view, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you're on the Clear Wax channel, and this Clear Wax channel is solely dedicated to the WAXscope. I've kept it separate to my main channel, the Wax Whisperer, where I use the endoscope. So if you prefer the endoscopic view and you don't like this particular view, feel free to switch over to the other YouTube channel. Just type in the Wax Whisperer, or the Hair Clinic even, in the search bar, and it'll take you there. So the view you get the WAXscope is more similar to a 2D microscope, as opposed to the endoscope. So with an endoscope, the lens is actually inside of the ear, and it has a negative lens at the end of the endoscope, and you've got a series of glass rod lenses, and combined it provides an extremely wide panoramic field of view with an endoscope, and that's because the view is being shared from directly inside the ear. With the WAXscope, it's similar to a microscope that's used for examining the ear. So it's what a lot of ENT use. Well, they use a binocular microscope, so each eye is able to visualize the wax and send that information to the brain, and because the brain is receiving the same image from both eyes separately and independently, it provides you with depth perception using binocular vision. Now, speaking to an ENT colleague of mine, sometimes that's not always the case, especially if the wax is very, very deep and it's a very narrow ear. And the way the microscope does that, it's almost like a periscope. The distance between your two eyes, so your papillaries between the two eyes, is too wide to be able to look inside the ear canal, especially if the wax is past the first bend. If it's near the entrance, then both eyes may be able to visualize that. But otherwise, it's impossible for each individual eye, if you're looking at through each lens on each eye, to visualize the wax. Normally, it's only one eye that's going to see the image, and even a lot of people with a binocular vision microscope, they struggle for that, and they close one eye and they look inside the image with one eye, so they don't get the depth perception. But what the microscope is designed to do is, once you look into the eyepiece, individual eyepiece, the optics then are converged, so it artificially brings together your pupils. So it's all a series of optics doing that. So it converges your interpupillary distance, and that allows you then to visualize the wax deep in the ear and using both eyes and using depth perception. I just used the ear pick there just to kind of break this up, because it's really impacted against the eardrum, this. So I've decided just to come away and work on the canal wall, because sometimes when you start peeling this away, the peel of this wax and skin then extends to the eardrum as well, so it makes it easier, but it wasn't happening if I'm honest here. So I've just gone back focusing on this main plug, and I'm looking for a weak spot. Once I've got a weak spot, I've just got it in focus. Once you've got a weak spot, it's almost like Jenga. You remove one piece and the whole Jenga construction falls. And it's with wax. So yeah, that's how a microscope works. Now the view with the WAXscope, obviously you're looking with both eyes, but you're looking at a 2D monitor. So you gain depth perception differently, you gain it by focus. When something's not in focus, like the wax there is not in focus, you adjust the focus, like I just had, then you get your depth perception. So when I put the instrument in the ear, initially it's out of focus. But the moment it's in focus, you know you're at the correct depth. So you're obtaining depth perception using different cues. So some people find it difficult to get the monocular depth perception. Some people struggle to get it with binocular as well. But the binocular vision is probably the most natural way, because that's how we gain depth perception in the real world. We look at an object with both eyes. But similar to the endoscope too only uses 2D depth perception, but you get the depth perception differently with an endoscope. So with an endoscope, the focus is more or less constant, no matter where you're looking in the ear. And that's because, as I mentioned before, the optics are inside the ear. I mean, if you go slightly closer to the eardrum, then you'll get a bit more focus. But I wouldn't say that's your main method of depth perception with an endoscope using monocular vision, although it is one of those. It's more because you've got the wide field of view. You can look at all the different landmarks. You can see the first bend, the second bend, you can see the isthmus. You're using all the shadows and contours. You're using anatomical differences. For example, the bony part of the ear canal, it's more glossier, more red in appearance than the cartilage portion, which is thicker. It's got the kind of skin is more matte in appearance. But you're also using motion parallax. The closer you go with an endoscope towards the eardrum, your brain will actually realise that it's looking at the distance of wax near to you and then the ear canal away from you. And you're able to cause depth perception using that method. So the best way to describe motion parallax is if you're on the highway, you've got cars whizzing past you on the inner or outer lane, wherever you may be in the world. And then you've got an object in the distance. The cars beside you will be whizzing past you, but the object in the distance will be going at a slower rate because it's further away, and that's motion parallax. So that's another method of depth perception. And the reason why I'm explaining that is it's important for people to know when they start using the WAXscope of how to gain depth perception. It's mainly using focus cues. So this last bit is on the eardrum, slowly bringing it away. When I used the ear pick earlier, I should have mentioned the patient did find it slightly uncomfortable, so just making that contact up against the wax and kind of getting to the core, they found that slightly uncomfortable, hence why I withdrew from that, and I'm solely trying to focus on the suction. Of course, I can't use forceps here, so I think to grab onto it's very deep in the ear as well. If I was going to use the forceps, which I don't know how that would be possible, how to get a grip, I'd have to get on the underside of the wax plug up against the canal wall, which would be very uncomfortable. Of course, you can't just scoop this out, because if you scoop this out, you're going to have to go around the wax, which will inevitably mean you're going to make contact with the canal wall, and you're going to touch possibly the eardrum. So you've got to use the right tool. I know sometimes when people watch the videos, it may seem possible to use this and that, but when you've got to then factor in is, of course, yeah, I mean, if this was a dummy ear, which we do in our training course at the beginning, so people can get used to using instruments, you can use a correct or forceps somehow, even a hook to remove this, because you're not going to injure or hurt the dummy. But when you've got a real patient, that is my number one priority. If I was to get in behind this wax plug, it's kind of scoop it, okay, it's going to be tremendously painful for the patient. So that's why we don't use those. So it's not using, when you're looking at an ear, you've got to remember that there's a patient's ear here, you've got to remember the patient themselves. And they are susceptible to pain and trauma. So that's the eardrum. It's slightly red, some of the blood vessels coming as a dilated. There's a bit of skin in the centre, I'm just going to leave that. This is the centre of the ear. So that's how we got the depth perception there. So that was initially out of focus, that piece of wax in the midsection of the canal. So we're just going to, using the fine end suction very big, because we don't need the additional suction power, so it's going to be a lot quieter as well for the patient. So this wax has attached itself to the end of the speculum, so it's the skin actually, you can see the skin is peeling away. On the back part, really careful we don't make contact with the canal wall there. So when is the WAXscope going to be ready now? It's actually ready, guys. I'm just waiting for the app now, because I've decided to develop an app in the meantime. That should be ready by the end of the month, and my instruments all should be ready. I mean, everything's ready, but it's just getting the mass production now, so we're busy away in the background, just manufacturing in volume so we can start distributing. But everything's in essence done. All the hard, well, I think the hard work starts now, but you know what I mean. All the trials and tribulations of the last 2 years, we've been let down by a few third parties. We've got past that stage and we're there. And we're just finalising our training criteria, so on how best to train people using the WAXscope. So I've got some colleagues working with me on the training. They used to be part of PWAX many years ago. So the ENT surgeon Darius Rajali and my other colleague Kad Shiraz, and we're training together. So if you are interested, please do email info@pwax.co.uk and add you to our mailing list, and we can contact you as soon as it's more available. And there will also be the option of also getting trained on the endoscope. So we're going to probably have 2 types of training courses, just the WAXscope and also the endoscope. Now, I think with the endoscope, obviously, you're going to need more time because it's a much higher skill level required. But obviously, you can achieve more with the endoscope compared to the WAXscope. So we're going to give the option available, so you can come. They're going to do dedicated training courses on just the WAXscope, and then also on the endoscope and the WAXscope. I don't think I'm going to just do dedicated training on the endoscope anymore. So there's always going to be the WAXscope element there. And you've got the option of both if you want to. So we're just going to mop up. You can see all the eardrum there. So as this patient, as we approach the eardrum, it does narrow quite a lot on both sides, but also at this one side. It's quite bendy as well. Initially when I examined this ear, the WAXscope was projecting at the posterior, the back part of the ear canal. And I had to straighten it. So again, really could have left this, if truth be told, but we're on the cartilage portion. I'm just hovering over it. It comes away brilliant. If not, I'm not too. Because I don't want to get every little last speck. I'm just getting the excess out, so to speak. A bit of wax, a bit of coating also is good for you. It's there to serve and protect the ear. This is just some insurance. That's the wax plug. The bottom one, believe it or not, is the left ear. That came out in a huge plug. And the right side, you can see